Compound under-21 men's teams medal rounds have arrived here at the World Archery Youth Championships. Bronze medal at stake here for the Indians and the Americans. A win for India over Chinese Taipei in the quarterfinals, but a loss in the semis to Slovenia. And the Americans beat Ecuador in their quarterfinal. Rather, they beat Kazakhstan in the round of 1/8 eliminations, then Mexico in the quarterfinals, and lost to Denmark rather in the semis. Some good archers though in these two teams. There's Priyansh, gold medalist in the mixed teams yesterday. Kushal Dalal and that man right there, Prathamesh Jorkar. It's Sawyer Sullivan and Isaac Sullivan, both of them previous medalists at the World Archery Youth Championships. Nathaniel Wilkin in the team too. We've got two archers ranked inside the top 13 in the world in these teams, Mike. We've got Jorkar, who's 13th, and Sawyer Sullivan's 12th. So you probably know a bit about those two in particular?
For sure, like I know them both well. I shot against Jorkar in Shanghai this year. He won against me in the gold medal match, in the individual gold medal match against me. So it was my first experience with him, and he was shooting very well there. He really deserved to win there.
Amazing that he won that at the age of 19. He's also won bronze in the teams event as well.
And the other side, I know Sawyer Sullivan. He's yeah, I meet him a lot in the US circuit.
Isaac Sullivan here at his second World Youth Championships to kick it all off. He won silver and bronze in 2021. Silver in the teams and bronze in the individual, and he starts off with a 10. He's only 18, and that was in the under-18s back 2 years ago. Now Nathaniel Wilkin, in his first World Youth Championships. He's 20, and he starts off in style as well. Sawyer Sullivan's won 3 medals at World Archery Youth Championships before. Gold in the teams 2019, 2 silvers in 2021. And how about that from him? 3 10s for the Americans.
That's a way to start.
So both Sullivans have some good credentials behind them. It's going to be Jorkar to start off for India. So touched on, he's 13th in the world rankings at the moment. Now, Kushal Dalal. All 3 of the Indians qualified inside the top 6 for the individual competition. Top qualifier for the Americans was Sawyer Sullivan in 9th. Dalal here, who's just adjusting his sight there, was gold medalist in the teams event here at the World Archery Youth Championships in 2021. That was in the under-18 age category. So there is some... Well, 4 of the 6 archers in this match here have won medals at previous World Archery Youth Championships. So some real quality on display. That rain is really coming down now. Sawyer Sullivan to round out the first end for the Americans. So 3 10s followed by 3 9s for the United States. 57 out of 60s. A solid first end.
When the rain picks up like this, sometimes it pushes the arrow low, so like you need to adjust your sight to that.
Gosh, it's tough conditions now, isn't it? Heavy rain falling in Limerick. Feel like we're going to have a really good match on our hands here, despite the weather.
It's definitely a high-scoring match so far.
Oh, Priyanch with a 10 there. And we're going to have a 1-point game. 3 10s from the Indians, 3 from the Americans. 57 plays 56 after the first end. Well, there's some hardy supporters out there still cheering on the two teams.
That's some good team spirit.
Let's hear from India. Let's make some noise, guys. I know it's raining hard, but come on, let's make some noise, USA. One more time, India. USA. Good job, guys.
Yeah, pretty hardy souls out there just to the left of screen there. It's a shout out too to the line judge and all the officials that are having be out there enduring this weather as well. Weather is around 17 degrees Celsius, been fresh southerlies blowing, and now this driving rain. In fact, the Americans have just gone up a point to Mike, so they're on 58. So they've got a 2-point lead.
Yeah, probably the second arrow from Isaac touched the line.
Yep, you're onto it. You don't miss much, do you, Mike? 58-56. Well, ordinarily, 56 out of 60 that the Indians posted here would have been enough for all of the other matches, but not against the United States. Oh, he's blown that water off.
Yeah, water out of the peep indeed. You can see hitting low arrows because of the rain. Sometimes even if you're so careful to get no water in your peep or your scope, with these kind of conditions, it's almost impossible to do that.
Jorkar and Dalal do a good job with the first 2 arrows of this end. Priyanch to end the first rotation. Just outside the 10 zone. Now Isaac Sullivan. Well, he's going great, isn't he? Isaac Sullivan. 10, 10, 10 so far. Here's Wilkin.
8-9 liner.
Sawyer Sullivan. Yes. Well, it's the Sullivan show at the moment, Mike. They are on fire, those two.
Yeah, for sure. Also, both experienced archers in the senior level as well. So they're pulling that through.
10.
The Indians starting to heat up again. Wow, this is good scoring that's unfolding here. Well, just drops below. But the scoring from India is very solid at the moment. So Isaac Sullivan, can he continue his hot streak here? He can't. That's his first loose arrow of the match, Isaac Sullivan. Been brilliant up till now.
There's a little bit of confusion about which targets they need to shoot.
Yes, indeed. Americans looking for a little lead here. And it is a 10. Sawyer Sullivan. Wow. 4 10s again for the Americans, 2 to the Indians there. So we've got a 3-point game, 1-15 to 1-1-2. So they've increased their lead by a point.
Between the scoreboards there, you can...
Sorry, Mike, you go ahead.
Okay, between the scoreboards there, you see like a sign with like a blue arrow. That is the indicator for the wind, so that the people like are spectating there can see how hard the wind blows. You can see in the middle there.
There it is. Yeah, it fluctuates a bit, doesn't it? 2.6 meters per second, dropping back to 0.5. Do you take much notice of that when you're competing, Mike?
Not at all. As archers, you have a feeling for it, so like you have a feeling better. I think that works better than having a sign there. But for the spectators, of course, cool to see. And also, you can see now that it's way lower than the start of the day, just because of the rain. Like the wind dropped a little bit.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's all about, you can see the Americans furiously trying to keep their equipment as dry as possible. Tough, isn't it, Mike? Because as soon as you get back out from under the umbrella, it just gets wet again.
Yeah, with these kind of conditions, it's very difficult to keep all your equipment dry. Sometimes it's just good to just leave it getting soaked, and when the bow is soaked, it's soaked. It kind of gets wetter than that, so I often try to do that. Like if I know that it's going to be a rainy day like this, I just leave my bow out, standing outside, and make sure that it gets wet and stays wet. Because it's funny, like a compound bow, when it gets wet, you tend to, for a right-handed archer, if your bow gets wet, you tend to hit right. It's funny to see, but it works like that. So when the bow dries up, for example, you tend to hit left.
Well, the other thing that's quite apparent is all these guys are smiling too, Mike. So it's they're all having fun out there, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's hard to beat this kind of like these final venue appearances. Like it's what we hard train every single day for these kind of appearances.
Well, good on them for out there and enjoying themselves, trying to see the bright side on a lot of these awful conditions. So Jorkar starts with a 9. Now we have Kushal Dalal again.
8.
India were the top qualifiers, and, beaten in the semis though by Slovenians. It's going to be an all-European battle for the gold medal between Denmark and Slovenia. But there are two very, very fine archers in those two teams that we'll enjoy seeing in action shortly.
In all these four teams, a lot of talent, a lot of people that also already they work out in the senior level. It's great to see.
Isaac Sullivan first up again for the US. Can't get under the umbrella fast enough, and I can't blame him. Nathaniel Wilkin. He's starting to heat up too, isn't he? He's gone, Nathaniel Wilkin's gone 10, 9, 9, 10, 10. So he's going well. The Americans increase their lead by another point or two in the first rotation. So these 10s that Jorkar got there, and hopefully Dalal for the Indian team here, will keep them in touch. Win coming from behind the archers too today, rather from their across the range from the left side, as we saw yesterday. Just drifting high there from Priyansh to end the third end for India, 166. Score of 54 in that end provisionally. Isaac Sullivan back out there to get his customary 10.
The Americans having some fun on the line. That's always good to see.
All three Americans have been very solid through the match. There's only one arrow on their scorecard outside the yellow zone. And that trend continues right there with Sawyer Sullivan banging in another 10. So the quality of scoring coming from the Americans is very good all the way through the match. So it's going to be a 3-point gain there to the United States, and they now lead by a very good margin heading into the last end. Mike, they're 6 points clear. All three have been scoring consistently. As I said, just that one score outside the yellow, and that came from Isaac Sullivan with his second arrow of the second end. Just a touch more consistent all the way through. The United States now with a 6-point lead heading into the last end, and it's going to be hard for the Indians to peg them back.
Yeah, you see that also, like the nines are also really close by, so it's you see that the Americans are working really well together.
Going to the final end of the match.
So a new target face has been put up, of course, for the last end.
Make some noise, India and USA. Who is the loudest?
These kind of conditions.
These athletes, yeah, they
But
need
these
as
kind of-
much encouragement as they can.
Yeah,
Time, India.
with these kind of conditions, the target faces like they get super wet. You can see it as well there. It's also funny, like a wet target face normally shrinks. So if you have in these kind of conditions, you cannot change just one target face. You need to change them all four, but otherwise you get an unfair advantage.
Yeah, there's all sorts of little twists and turns through where there isn't there that you've touched on quite a bit through, Mike. Yeah, of course they would shrink, wouldn't they? Do they shrink by much? How much do they shrink? Is it visible to the eye?
Oh yeah, definitely visible. If you leave them hanging like overnight, for example, with like some foggy conditions, they shrink up to like more than a centimeter.
Amazing.
Please, ladies and gentlemen,
Well, the officials at that end of the range are doing a great job. They really are. Brutal weather. So 1 end to go in this bronze medal compound under 21 men's teams match. USA 172, India 166. So a big margin to the United States. Sawyer Sullivan tries to win his 4th medal at a World Archery Youth Championships to go with the gold and 2 silvers. He's got it the 2 previous editions. And Isaac Sullivan also medal at a World Archery Youth Championships as well. So let's see what the Indians can do here. Prathamesh Jakor to start it off, and again looking concerned. Trying to get that water off his bow. Oh, perfect. Any slip-ups, the Indians at all, as Priyansh goes for, set for his first arrow of the last end. Now they're going to need the Americans to slip up a little bit, Mike, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. And that, how strong they've been shooting, it's hard to imagine that's going to happen.
Yeah, Isaac Sullivan's been a machine. He's been going fantastically well.
It's not just Isaac, the whole team has been working like they're like on rails, like they executing well, working together well.
Wilkin. That's all the Americans need to do, is just get these yellow scores going again. Sawyer Sullivan. He's had 5 10s so far. Make that 6.
It's a fun fact, Sawyer's dad is behind him, coaching them.
Just outside the 10 zone there for Jakor. The Americans, though. That's a beauty from Dalal. That's dead centre. Priyansh would dearly love another one of those. Oh, he missed it.
Yeah, he also had water in his peep probably. He saw him trying to blow it out.
He was also under time pressure as well, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's really unfortunate. So the Americans now need just 14 with 3 arrows. And there's 9 of them. So Wilkin can end it here by just getting the arrow on the target face, which he's done with a 10. So there it is, a bronze medal secured by the United States in this Very tough match against the Indians. Sawyer Sullivan to end it. Oh, yes. That's how to do it. Sawyer Sullivan, Nathaniel Wilkin, and Isaac Sullivan. Too good for India in this bronze medal match. And they have been most impressive. 229. 13 for India. So it's going to be bronze to the United States, and Sawyer Sullivan and Isaac Sullivan get their 4th and 3rd medals at World Archery Youth Championships. Well, they were very solid in that match. Only dropped 11 points in the match, Mike. That's pretty impressive given the conditions.
It was beautiful shooting. They were like I told you, like they were on rails, just from the beginning to start, from the start to the end. I mean, it's just like, it was beautiful to see. Beautiful match.